Who's got the rocket launcher? I say we blow it up. Now fire that thing.
It's for the city of sports, playing with a giant Nick. With my man S. God.
That's him.
You feel the vibe?
That's me.
We going live.
That's us.
That like button shared, you been subscribed.
Stadium.
That MetLife Big Blue, home of the Braves.
Yeah.
That turnpike you can see, that's where the game's played. NFL one day, then it's the NBA. Madison Square Garden, that's where the Knicks play. This that NY Logan, North don't get broken. Legalized mean this shit smoking. I'm on topic, dropping another episode. The game winner, trade, maybe a field goal. Everybody right now doing the wave. You tune in, the show called TheMan-Cave. I see the chat, they always doing their thing. Big views, 85-inch screen. The game's on, you rush and bleed. Stay calm, you on the road to chill. Do the watch along. The show's on, the host, you know it's S-God. It's no telling the panel filled with guest stars. You're now rocking with the voice, you know what it is. It's your boy J Boogie. You're now rocking with my man S-God. I support him to the fullest, you heard? My man Mike Blaze. This is Alter Production. What that mean, we about to alter everything that's playing. Tune in. My man S.God. Support the show. Subscribe, share it. Most importantly, hit that like button.
What's good? What's good? Salute to the orange and blue skies. You already know what time it is, man. You know the vibes, man. It is Knicks basketball talk tonight on the Man Cave podcast, courtesy of the Aboriginal Sports Network, our one centralized location for all of our content, man. Make sure you go and subscribe to the Aboriginal Sports Network, man. If you already know, it is breaking news, man. Knicks basketball again. Less than 72 hours after the Eastern Conference Finals, the Knicks have fired Coach Tom Thibodeau in stunning fashion. Most people didn't. Some people seen it coming. Some people thought he was going to be safe due to the fact that the Knicks got to the Eastern Conference Finals. Thought he was going to be able to keep his job, but after management, like I said, talked about it over with the ownership with James Dolan and Leon Rose, they came to the conclusion that, you know, what's good, D? They came to the conclusion that, hey, it was time for the Knicks to hear a new voice in the locker room and stuff like that, and felt to go in a different direction. Like I said, was this unexpected? No, not to many fans. And, you know, some fans was asking for his firing anyway, despite his success that he had with the Knicks for the 5 seasons that he coached the New York Knicks. It's been, you know what I'm saying, it's been a lot of good, you know what I'm saying, wins and stuff like that. But there's also been some head-scratching moves by Tom Thibodeau. And number one on his thing has been the bench. The use of the bench has been the most criticized thing about Tom Thibodeau, has how much he run his starters into the ground and stuff like that, because he refused to use the bench. But like I said, we didn't see, you know what I'm saying, after the Eastern Conference Final, thought it was going to get another year because reaching to the conference final, but that wasn't enough, man. It wasn't meant to be. And like I said, at the end of the day, I'm not mad about it because, like I said, I've never really been one of the biggest Tom Thibodeau supporters. I like him as a coach. I said he's a good coach. He's not a great coach. And, you know, like all coaches, you know, he got his shortcomings. He got some flaws and things like that, you know, which is understandable. But like I said, you would think over a course of time that you would get better, and, you know, just like how players develop and, you know, and grow, coach is supposed to do the same thing, develop and grow and get out of your old ways, your old habits and things like that. And it looked like he never got out of it. Some of it he did, but to the most part, he kept to his core. You know, the same thing about riding his players hard and things like that, you know, and that caught up to him, man. You know, but like I said, if this is your first time to the Man Cave podcast, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, man. Also share it on all social media platforms, man, as well as go subscribe to the Aboriginal Sports Network, man. It is totally free, man. Hit that like and subscribe button. What's going on, D, man? I know, like I said, at like 2:30, 3 o'clock, the news broke that Tom Thibodeau got fired. You know what I'm saying? I got a call from one of my boys. I'm like, this serious? And the next thing you know, all the calls and stuff started coming in, man, that Tom Thibodeau was fired as coach. So now the Knicks will begin the next coaching search. So, you know, like I said, how do you feel about it, man? And, you know, how is, you know,
well, for me, to be honest, I'm not shocked. I mean, it's something that we talked about, and I mean, it's one of those things. Is like, do you give him another run at it or not? But he got 5 years. He got a 5-year run, which is good for any coach to see what they could do. And like I said, he got us as far as he could get us. I mean, at this point, we need to give somebody else a shot at it to see where they could get over that hump. I like you said, I think people was upset about his rotation. He could have done better. I think he waited too long to do better. And the good thing is they made the change. I think it's needed. We need to break away from him and his ways and give somebody else a shot to see how they could, maybe move the Knicks in a different direction.
Yeah.
So,
I think
the change was needed.
Yeah, I think some of it, like I said, you look at the playoffs and stuff like that. People came to realize like Knicks payrolls, like I said, is probably like top 5 in the league and stuff like that. And then in the playoffs, and like I said, it catches up to him where it's like, yo, that read and react offense is not really going to cut it. You can't have Jalen Brunson just pounding the ball, and then the shot clock running down, and then you try to go get a shot. That's not an offense. You know what I'm saying? And it will help Brunson in the long run, and with a coach who can implement an offense, that the ball just don't stick at his hands, like it just, moves around and stuff like that. And, so that way he won't be worn down, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what Tom Thibodeau offense kind of worn him down, with just dribbling the ball, pounding the ball, and then trying to find Towns or somebody, after he penetrates or something like that. And too much playing with the ball on the perimeter. You got to go, like I keep saying, you got to go north to south. You can't go east to west. You got to go north to south. You got to get to that basket. Dribbling the ball at the top ain't doing nothing. That's like you just showboating at the top, making all this thing, and then at the last minute you shot and there's no good. So you just entertain people for like 20-some seconds, and then, it's a dud at the end. It's like, yo, the whole thing is to attack. Plus, when you got 2 good offensive players and some other offensive players, you got to maximize your talent. You're not maximizing your talent with that type of offense. It's just stagnant. It's not doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing. One of the reasons why I think this was a great move at the right time is because the season is over. Plus, you want to get the new coach in before the draft and free agent, so that way the new coach can implement what he wants and get the type of players that he wants in there, and also to tweak the team. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be able to do too much because of how the Knicks are structured right now. But at the same time, I'd rather a new coach come in and implement what he wants and get some players in here, and also have a different philosophy and a different offensive scheme of how he wants to run it, compared to wait until after the draft and free agency and with Tom Thibodeau and then fire him before the season starts. Then you put the other coach at a disadvantage. So this way right now was the best time. It came at the perfect time. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to move on right now while you can still get there and, tweak your lineup, see what you need, because everybody who watched the Knicks, they saw what the Knicks shortcomings and things were and stuff like that. So, they just figure like this, and now we're going to be doing a coaching search and stuff like that. But like I said, take nothing away from Tom Thibodeau. He had a great 5-year run here with the Knicks as a coach. You know what I'm saying? One of the best 5 years run as a coach in the Knicks history. Tom Thibodeau record for the Knicks was 226 and 174, which was like 56% winning percentage, which is great. In the post, he was 24 and 23, so he was basically at 500. With 47 games, that's a lot of games in the playoffs for a Knicks team that rarely ever got to the playoffs, except for the Melo years and stuff like that. But before then, it was just like a barren wasteland, a desert, you know what I'm saying? It was nothing. Tom Thibodeau changed the foundation. He changed the culture, which is a great thing. He changed the culture, but like I said, while his time was here, I always figured that he should have got himself an offensive assistant coach that would implement the offense and run it. You know what I'm saying? Tom Thibodeau's more of a defensive coach. This other offensive coach would have implement the offense to be a more efficient offense. Like you see Indiana runs, like you see probably OKC, these other teams. They don't just pound the ball and stuff like that. They move on offense. They maximize their players. Their players are constantly moving, doing something. That's why he's wearing teams down. When you bring in bench players, you're playing 10, 11 guys. We only playing 7 guys. We're not really wearing teams out because we relying on these players. These players are gassed sometimes at the end of the games because of these short rotations and stuff like that he doesn't seem to understand. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say you got to play more guys early in the season to get more confidence in these guys and build their experience. And also, their play will develop even more the more they play. But sitting on the bench is not really going to, get these guys in game and NBA experience shape, but just sitting and watching. Yeah, sitting and watching is good for a little period of time, but you need game action to actually go in there and do it. It's almost like when you're in you're an electrician. Like I said, telling me about it and me reading about it is not going to help me more unless I'm doing the actual thing, like, going in and doing the work. You know what I'm saying? Like
it'd be more understanding seeing it firsthand, right?
Right. It's more like, and then like, see, when you go to college for stuff like that, college just teach you the theory. But when you go to trade school, you do the actual work, which is a little
Correct.
different because now you're getting a hands-on experience to know what you're doing instead of me just reading in a book and looking at illustrations. You know what I'm saying? I want to do the work so I understand it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, as far as timetable, like I said, 226 wins, 174 losses, 56% winning percentage, 24 and 23 in the postseason. He actually took the Knicks to the Eastern Conference Finals, something the Knicks hadn't done in over 25 years. Their last Eastern Conference Finals was back then in '99, you know, with the Houston Sprewell Canby years and stuff like that. So that's a major accomplishment. And 5 years, like I said, 5 years is not even a longer period of time. That's in a short period of time, which is a great thing. So in the Knicks' first season, he won 41 games. Second season, won 37. Then he won 41 again. Then he won 50 games and then 51 games this season and stuff like that. So so he was getting consistent because, like I said, before Tom Thibodeau came, you know, the Knicks was winning like 23 games, 21, you know, stuff like that. They was just in and out of the lottery, things like that, you know, right after the Melo years and stuff like that, you know. So don't get me wrong. Like I said, all things ain't bad with Tom Thibodeau. Like I said, he did what he could do for the Knicks, man. Like I said, he turned the foundation around and stuff like that. So I have to give him praise and thanks for that, for doing that for us, because when you came to the Knicks, we were a laughing stock. You know what I'm saying? Now, not so much anymore. You know, now we're a serious title contender, you know, with some tweaks here and there and stuff like that. So, you know, it all works out in the end. You know what I'm saying? He took us as far as he could. But like I said, at the end of the day, and with Leon Rose and the Knicks statement said like this, you know, we needed a new voice to, you know what I'm saying, to lead us in a different direction and stuff like that to win the championship.
Sure.
And we thank Tom Thibodeau for all of that, you know what I'm saying? And during this time we're here, the players here and stuff like that, you know, Deuce McBride, Mitchell Robinson, guys who played for him for a while, you know, and those like the longest tenure guys, you know what I'm saying? They was here when Tom Thibodeau got here, and Tom Thibodeau actually, you know, drafted Deuce and stuff like that, and, you know, drafted some other players, which they're not here on the team no more and stuff like that. So, you know, he saw over them stuff. But the one thing, you know, I know players development, things like that, I just felt like Deuce McBride really never developed into a point guard, and he's a point guard. You know what I'm saying? He's more now like a combo shooting guard, but he's supposed to be a point guard. You know what I'm saying? So where's the development in that? You know what I'm saying? Because when the Knicks need a strong ball handler, we really can't count on them to be that strong ball handler. It's like we only have one ball handler, which is Brunson, on the whole team. You know, these other guys they can handle the ball a little bit, but they're not really sure-handed. We need some sure-handed guys to handle the ball, handle the pressure, to take more pressure off of Brunson. And like I said, Tom Thibodeau's offense, like I said, it's a read and react offense, which everybody knows. I don't know what the hell that is, a read and react offense. I never really heard of that before. You know what I'm saying? Everybody who played basketball, you know the whole offense is motion, flex offense, you know, what's that? Princeton offense, 4 high, 4 low, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. Maryland, UCLA, whatever you want to run, you know what I'm saying? The triangle offense, a little variations of the triangle, but I never heard no read and react. It's like, what is that? And then on defense, he comes with what is that? The drop coverage. What the heck is a drop coverage, bro? What are you dropping for?
I was listening to you say he was the defensive specialist. I was trying to see what defensively did we do throughout any of these series where the defense of what we need, who we needed to stop was we just put our best defender on him to say, yo, we're going to defend you one-on-one and try to stop you. There was no help side defense that helped any of that.
Right, but like I said, the Knicks, I mean, Tom Thibodeau, to his credit, like I said, as a defensive coach and stuff like that, I mean, with the Bulls, you know, the Bulls had a lot of great defensive teams. And then the Timberwolves didn't really have it because they had young players, so they really haven't. And then the Knicks, when he first got there, the Knicks had some gritty players, was playing defense like the first couple of years and stuff like that, but then they changed to a finesse team. So, you know, that's not Tom Thibodeau's suit, you know what I'm saying? He's more of a defensive coach, but like I said, they changed the team, but he was on there, but he was the coach on the team. He should have been like, no, I need to keep this player. I need to keep this player, that player, that, because most of the good players, like I said, in the NBA, they're not two-way players. They're only offensive players. They're not a defensive player. And when you get like that, it's just like, that's why you have to balance your team. Like on defense, a starting five, if you have one defensive player, one bad defensive player, you can mask it a little bit. When you got 2 bad defensive players, it's very hard to mask it, especially when the defensive player is that center position, center, power forward. and the point guard. The point guard, you can mask that a little bit with other perimeter players, but that anchor in the middle is like, if he's soft or he's not a defensive player, it's going to kill everything. And that's what was happening with the Knicks in the playoff with Karl Anthony Towns. And you saw the Knicks' two best players, teams was putting them in defensive pick and rolls all the time because they knew these guys was terrible on defense. And that's how they scored a lot of their points, by getting those open shots, mismatches, and stuff like that. And those guys were not moving their feet. And another thing is, like I said, the thing with the Brunson defense, that show defense is just terrible. I don't know who told them to play that just show and then go back and run back to who. You're not running back to anybody because somebody has your man already. So you're just basically leaving a man wide open you're running away from. It's like it's just one of the dumbest things that I've ever seen. I could watch and be like, here we go again. Here we go again. It's just like this, another dumb defense. Like a show defense. I played the little thing yesterday, you know what I'm saying, with some of the Knicks highlights and stuff. And when I just saw that thing, it's just like, yo, it's just dumb. When they look at film, it's like, what are you looking at film? What are you looking at? Do you not see what you're not doing right? It's like, and that was another thing with the defensive assignments. They said a lot of players was growing frustrated with, Cad and stuff like that, not being really held accountable for his defensive lapses and failure to play defense and stuff like that, man. It's just like ridiculous, man. And that's what I was saying, like over the years with Tom Thibodeau as a coach, he lets his star players get away with murder as far as on defense. He doesn't really hold them accountable. Yeah, they're good on offense. They can score points, but they're not really held accountable on defense. And they give piss poor efforts on defense. And I think players, you know what I'm saying, even though the players are playing, players get mad about that. It's like, yo, man, why are you doing this? It's like, bro, we play defense good for like 20-some seconds, and then here you come, and then you let up at the last minute and foul a player for no reason. You know what I'm saying? That defeats the whole purpose. We just played hard for 20-some seconds, and then you just like fouling a person, or you just whiffed and the guy just goes in for a layup because you don't want to move your feet. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, man, as far as like the Tom Thibodeau thing, like I said, less than 72 hours, man. This even before the NBA Finals, is the Knicks done took center stage again. You know, with this firing, like I said, it wasn't something that wasn't coming. You know what I'm saying? Some people have seen it already. But another thing with that is Tom Thibodeau was given an extension at the end of last season. And his extension was supposed to kick in after this year, which will be $30 million guaranteed. So the Knicks have to pay him the $30 million guaranteed. So he leaves out the door with $30 million that they're going to have to pay him and stuff like that.
No way.
Yeah, he goes, it's a $30 million extension I was supposed to kick in like beginning of this season coming up, because he signed it at the end of last season, which will keep him as a coach for the Knicks until 2027. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they fired Tibbs, but they still owe him $30 million. But that's always the case with a lot of these teams. They end up firing a coach that they owe money to and stuff like that, and they got to pay these coaches and stuff, even though they're not on the roster no more. They're not coaching the team no more and stuff like that.
This is like another Larry Brown situation over there.
Yeah, well, the only difference is at least Tibbs coached for 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Larry Brown only coached for a season. Larry Brown's had a 5-year contract, which he only did 1 year, and he was gone.
Right,
and then he was fighting the Knicks because they didn't want to pay him his whole 50. But bro, you signed a 5-year deal, and after 1 year they got rid of you. So you trying to get them to pay you for 4 years of doing nothing? You know, because and you sabotaged the Knicks. You sabotaged the Knicks during that time. It ain't like, you know what I'm saying, it was like, you know, the way you was coaching. Like I said, we was just like, yo, what's going on? But anyway, the thing with the Tibbs, man, like I said, with Tibbs firing now it's going to be all speculation as to who will be the next coach of the Knicks. But like I said, in the short term right now with Tibbs, though, man, hey, it is what it is. I like Tibbs as a coach for certain things, but then it's just a lot of things. It was just like, you know, just mind-boggling in the games. Like I said, some challenges. He won't challenge certain times of the game until the fourth quarter, or, you know, he won't bring in certain people. He'll keep these guys in way longer. And even Kendrick Perkins said earlier, he said at that game too, when Karl Anthony Towns was benched in the game until the fourth quarter or something like that, most of the fourth quarter, and brought him. He said, if the Knicks lose this series, that's going to be one of the things that's going to get him fired. You know what I'm saying? For keeping Towns on the bench. That's one instance. Then another instance was keeping Mitchell Robinson on the bench in the fourth quarter when they could have used Mitchell Robinson for defense. You know what I'm saying? Correct. And then another thing is he waited too late to move Josh Hart out of the starting lineup. You know what I'm saying? Even when Mitchell Robinson came back the last 20 games, I know Mitchell had to get himself back in shape. But what they said, what people were saying, like, he could have been made that move a long time ago. All he had to do, instead, if he didn't want to put Mitch in the starting line, he could have put Deuce McBride in the starting lineup and moved Hart to the bench, because Deuce would have gave the Knicks a shooter, something like that in the starting lines where they won't put a center on him. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing. Like I said, these are things that he failed to realize. Is like, bro, you hear it. I mean, we're fans. We you know what I'm saying? If we could think about these things, you should be thinking about these things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I
but
know you worrying
I
about these
think
other players, intangibles and stuff like that, but it's like, huh?
that those things would have been great. I think the Deuce thing wouldn't have worked because we would have still been lackluster on the rebounding end. Again, if Mikel and OG stepped up on a rebounding end, we could have went to a Deuce type situation. But with that not being the case, the Mitchell Robinson thing was the best thing to go with because he definitely helped us on the offensive rebounding end, especially
Mm-hmm.
with us missing a lot of shots. I mean, that whole change right there definitely changed the landscape because it's just a bigger man and it's supposed to be a defensive situation for us as well that supposedly did help us in some games.
You're right. And then you look
Deuce
at
would
it,
have
you
just
got,
been undersized
mm-hmm.
guy. Because you keep in mind Deuce struggled a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah.
So that's what I said. His shot would have been there, but if he wasn't making shot, that wouldn't have helped us.
Mm-hmm. And then, like I said,
You know,
even the firing of Tibbs, man, a lot of people say this was kind of unexpected, but this ain't the first time that it's happened. You know what I'm saying? Other
right.
instances, like, like look at Dwayne Casey. He got let go with the Toronto Raptors after the playoffs or something like that. He got let go. Who else?
Mike Malone, like a lot of these
Mike
dudes.
Malone, Taylor Jenkins, a lot of guys. Depends on what the firing was. And then you look at Mark Jackson when he got let go, and they put Steve Kerr in. Mark Jackson got those guys to the playoffs and all that stuff. And with the
Right.
Splash Brothers, so this ain't the first time that it's happening, but I think it's just like more recent. But like I said, the Malone thing was like about a month before the playoffs when they fired him. So that was shocking. Malone and Taylor Jenkins, when their teams was fighting to get into the playoffs, they fired both of them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Compared to like if their teams was mathematically out, then I can understand it. And when Mike Malone got fired, his team was third seed in the West. They were the third seed
Right.
when he got fired 3 days before the playoffs, which is crazy. But like I said, the thing with Tibbs, like I said, his was at the end of the season, man. Well, like I said, going into next year, I guess they look at it as like, hey, next year's coming up is like, hey, what other moves can we make to help the team and stuff like that? You got to look at all aspects of the team when you're looking at it. You got to look at the coaching. You got to look at the player development and things like that. They all go hand in hand, to see what went wrong. And if you got some players on the roster who you think can help you, you'd be like, you know what, we got to tweak this. We got to do something. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't just like the Tibbs thing, but it was just like an overall different variations of it and stuff like that. But the thing with Tibbs, like I said, this wasn't, like I said, as me, like I said, my boy D, other people, like I said, this was like Knicks fans. It's like, yo, we kind of figured this was coming, and people have been calling for it for a while now. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like it was anything bad about it and stuff like that. So it's all good, man.
No, it's not what that's one of those things that no, if we succeeded and moved on to the finals, I mean, come on, I mean, it was it's a shot in the dark, but the fact of it is that we definitely needed more from him coaching wise.
Yeah, what's
And
good?
he
Mets
wasn't there to deliver that.
2128, man. Thanks for joining in on the panel, me and D, man.
I'm gonna make
What's happening, bro?
AD. I'm gonna make this quick, Cave. As to why I think Tibbs got fired. It boils down to basically his handling and disciplining or lack of disciplining Cat for his defensive mess ups. I mean, you go back to when the two were together in Minnesota. He went hard ass on Cat, basically pounding him, with disciplining him every time he screwed up on defense. Right? And that's what got him the pink slip within a few years in Minnesota. Now, Cat comes back into his fold and he tries the opposite approach. But the problem is when you be a hard ass to everyone else on defense and not to one player because you're afraid of, because you're basically on the edge of a knife with your relationship with him, you look like a hypocrite.
Right. I totally agree with you. And you know what the funny irony thing is? I mean, somebody put in a thing on Twitter is like, Cat done got him fired 2 times.
Wow.
He got him fired in Minnesota and he got him fired in New York. Cat got him fired. So that's what happens when you play with a cat, right? When you play with a cat, you know what I'm saying? Dewani, salute to the chat, Dewani.
To play it too soft, and he's just going to be a lazy bum.
Yeah, man. So the whole thing with Cat and Tibbs, man, is like it's just crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? With Cat and Tibbs in there, man. I was just like, yo, this is crazy, man. But yeah, man, like I said, so I mean, like I said, as Knicks fans, we're not surprised with this move, man. Like I
No.
said, and like Dewani said right here, he said, "Hey, K, this move was a win now move. It's a win now move, yeah, because at the end of the day, the team is still good. You just gonna have to get another coach in here that's gonna implement a system to help these guys, you know, to reach their level. You know what I'm saying? Because these guys got to the Eastern Conference Final with really no play calling. So imagine that. That's what I'm saying. They got with no play calling. So now a new coach will come in there and implement an offense where Brunson isn't pounding the ball for like 20 seconds before he makes a move. You're wearing him down because he's pounding the ball all day long around 2-3 players, tiring himself out instead of just moving the ball, whipping it around and running an offense. And yeah, you're not going to run an offense all game long. I understand it because, like I said, that's today's coaching. Today's coaching is like these guys are getting paid really to do nothing but to stand on the sideline. Because, like I said, coaches back in the day, they coached. They coached when you was on your end of the floor with your coach. He's yelling plays to you. He's telling you this, and you know, stuff like that. These coaches really don't do that. I don't see them calling no plays. They just let them give the player the ball and hey, go do a pick and roll or do whatever you see the offense do, and that's about it. That's not really running an offense. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, all I'm just saying is that Tibbs not only shot himself in the foot with his handling of Towns, he also kind of shot himself in the foot with Brunson because Brunson was basically forced to run the offense for himself. The Samson complex, a loner, thinking that he could do everything on his own up until his hair gets cut off, the eyes get gouged out, and he has to push a couple of pillars down on himself and 3,000 Philistines.
Yeah, man. Like I said, with Brunson, like I said, and that's another thing. Is like, yo, when you have like players on the team, it's supposed to be a player-oriented team.
I got to do my show in about 5
Okay, yeah. Go ahead, man. Thanks for coming through, Mets. And make sure you go tap into Mets 2128, man. Make sure you go tap in on the Aboriginal Sports Network, another member of the Aboriginal Sports Network, man. Make sure you go tap in. Big Pat, what's good? What's good, bro? But yeah, man, just like I said, man, it's just like at the end of the day, man, this was something that was coming, man. Like I said, it happened in Chicago. It happened in Minnesota. I knew it was going to happen in New York at some point. Like I said, the dude has done a great job, like I said, turning teams around and stuff like that. But like I said, sometimes he can't get out of his own ways. That's the problem. And like I always say that as a good coach like this, please hire somebody else to do something to take more responsibilities away from you. You know what I'm saying? And another thing that I heard like with Tibbs is like this. They say all the assistant coaches didn't have no say in nothing. Like
really?
he controlled everything. And they was even saying that some people saying like, yo, the assistant coaches, they might as well just went home. You say because they wasn't allowed to do anything. He has control over every single thing. It's like you can't do that. What was the point of having these assistants on your team? They're supposed to be there to help you. You know what I'm saying? To a voice of reason. They're supposed to be able to help the players, things like that. Tell you what's going on and stuff like that. Tell you what's going, what's wrong. How can we do this? You got to take input from everybody else. It's not just your mind. You're the coach. But at the end of the day, that's why you hire a staff for it. You hire a staff to help you. You don't hire these people just to be yes men and just to sit around there on a bench with you and stuff like that and not listen to their opinions and their voices and things like that. And that's one of the reasons, like I said, stubborn, hard-headed. That's his thing. He's stubborn and hard-headed. But like I said, after the Knicks, who knows if he's going to get another coaching opportunity? I don't think he will, but hey, you never know. But like I said, even if he goes somewhere else, it's going to be the same thing again. Like I said, and they'll be able to tell you because my boy RC that comes in here sometimes, he's a Minnesota Timberwolves fan. He'll tell me the same thing over. RC will say the same thing over and over again with Tibbs is the same damn thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Bulls fans is a little bit different. They probably could say it, when Derrick Rose was there because, we watched the Bulls when Tom Thibodeau was coach. You saw all the Bulls players that used to play. How many players really came off the bench for the Bulls? I mean, the starters and then off the bench, whoever, like 2 or 3 players. It wasn't like it was like 10, 11 players.
It wasn't a big rotation. Yeah.
So he's always been like that. And then some teams get to the point where we're giving you all these players and you're just not using them. For what reason? You know what I'm saying? Other people, like I said, the rosters have 15 players on a roster, but 12 really, for the game or something like that. Right. That's what these guys are there for. They're there to play. They're not there to just be like a cheerleader or something like that. It's like, bro, at the end of the day, you got to play your players. You got to play the bench. Because if you don't play the bench, this is what happens. When then you start getting injuries and stuff like that, then you relying on the bench now. It's like, then they really can't do too much because they really haven't played. And you should have been doing that at the beginning of the year. But you know what he was doing at the beginning of the year? he was shortening the bench. He was going to 7 players in game 1, game 2, game 3 of the season. It's like, bro, are you kidding me? 7 players? That's it? You only playing 2 players off the bench? You know what I'm saying?
So yeah,
Just
when
heard
you
that
was
too.
needed,
He had a Napoleon complex.
when you were saying that we needed more bench support, again, you need more players to play off the bench to get more scoring off your bench. You can't play legitimately, like you're saying, 2.5 players. Mitchell Robinson, you wouldn't expect to be a scorer. Deuce, you expect to be a scorer. And then what Campaign at that time? Like, you know what I mean? We wasn't getting a full participant of players to even make that a
what's good, bro? What's good? Yeah.
Bro,
He said, not a fan of this firing, but where's Mark Jackson? Hey, man.
I'm telling you,
That's
listen, we've been
what
talking
everybody
about that all
say,
day.
man. It's
I'll
just like,
take it.
I
I'll
just want to know
definitely take it.
I just want to know when he's gonna stop getting, the black ball or something like that. Somebody's gonna have to hire him at some point. But if not, man, I'll just be like this. I'm gonna be like this, and I'm gonna say like this with Mark Jackson. He should have been given an opportunity even after Golden State. Right. He was young enough to still be a coach and all this type of stuff. You guys are just ostracizing this guy because of some church thing. It was some religion thing that they came up with.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, come on.
He was trying to infuse his religion and all of that.
Come on. Anybody trying to hear all that, man? You know what I'm saying? Let the guy coach. Like, show me he can coach. Like I said, he did a good thing in Golden State. He got them guys to the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like they missed the playoffs every year he was there, and then they fired him and gave the job to Steve Kerr. No, that wasn't the case. He got them to the playoffs, and they had a good team, so they fired him and brought in Steve Kerr, and the rest is history. And Steve Kerr went on from there. Like I said, that's why sometimes I don't respect coaches like that. I respect coaches that come from the grit. You know what I'm saying? Come from bad teams and coach them up. You know what I'm saying? I'm not one of those guys who like glorify coaches who are given a gift or given a good team, and then you make him look like he's a good coach. And when Steve Kerr got that job, that was his first coach anyway. That was his first coaching gig. So it wasn't like he was an experienced coach. You know what I'm saying?
Well, look at the misery that happened with Nash with the Nets.
Right.
You understand? Like you gave him supposedly a bomb team, and it basically blew up in his hand.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. It's like I said, certain guys are not meant to coach, and certain guys, like I said, they look better than what they are. You know what I'm saying? Put them through the fire. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Me personally, like I said, and I know the coaching candidates, like I said, because I'm hearing some of the names already. You know, they were saying Mike Malone, and some people saying Mike Malone not even a candidate for the job and something like that. You know, say because he's just a younger Tom Thibodeau with the same type of thing. That's what some people are saying. Some people are saying, but we don't know totally yet. You know, other names I've heard is Johnny Bryant. You know, who's a hot name, young coach that used to be on the Knicks. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they were saying like with Johnny Bryant when he was on the Knicks, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly loved Johnny Bryant. They say he really developed them. They say Julius Randle, even I heard today, Julius Randle said like he was the one of the few guys on the team that really could get to Julius Randle, talk to him and stuff like that. You know, that he listened to was Johnny Bryant. He thanked him when he was on the Knicks, you know, for Johnny Bryant when he's on the Knicks. So it's like, it's things like that you hear about that you don't know about it until you hear about it later on. You be like, oh, okay. So he had a hand in doing this because Johnny Bryant was a young guy. He could play with these guys and you know, in practice and all that stuff. He's young enough. You know what I'm saying? These other coaches we got, these guys are like senior citizens. Come on, man. These guys ain't like running no fast breaks and no running no 5-on-5 with these guys. They just stand on the sideline talking. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it is what it is, man. But like I said, you know, Mark Jackson, everybody, like I said, Mark Jackson, like I said, I won't mind giving Mark Jackson a shot. You know what I'm saying? Here in New York, man, I think he would be great too. Like Pat said, man, you know what I'm saying? Mark Jackson would be great for you guys. Yeah. Hey, what do he got to lose? He got some star play. He got Brunson. He got He can run an offense. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, he will hold players accountable. You know what I'm saying? He ain't just going to let them just do whatever they want to do out there. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, give him a shot. Let me see some other names. What were some other names that I heard? Mike Budenholzer, you know, from the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns, Atlanta Hawks and stuff like that. And I know, listen, ain't no retread, no Frank Vogel, no way, no how. You know what I'm saying? Mike Brown, no way, no how. And like, the funny story with Mike Brown is like, he was LeBron James' first head coach, and like I said, and I always used to joke with you, like I was like, man, that dude ain't even coaching. He's just walking with a Pepsi on the sidelines. He's not even coaching, man. He ain't even got a coach. LeBron is just doing everything. And what happened? He left there. He got fired. He went to Sacramento. He got fired. He gets just like, I think he was at the Lakers or Golden State. One of them, he got fired. I'm just like, bro,
correct.
Yo, enough with these retreads, man. Then I heard like Jay Wright from Villanova. You know what I'm saying? That's what some people were saying, but I don't know who that is. These are just names and stuff like that. But and then some people saying like the Knicks may have a coach in mind already. That's why they went ahead and did this. Who knows? If they got a coach in mind already. I don't know. But like I said, the timing is kind of perfect for me because it's right before the draft and free agency seal. Like I told you before, so that way the new coach can tweak the team and see what he wants to do and give him an opportunity to do something to make some changes that he wants to make. You know what I'm saying? So, I'd rather do the coaching now than after the draft.
Correct. It sets the tone early for any upcoming trades or free agents, whatever the case may be, that the Knicks want to put into works now, so that the coach will have basically their squad going into the season. I mean, it just sets the tone very early so they can work on that. If Giannis is wanting to come to the Knicks, if they need to do whatever to try to make that deal work, that it just gets the ball rolling for that new coach to implement or talk to these players and what it is that what they need to do and what he's expecting of them going into the season. That's all it does. It just says there. Because to me, I was going to ask you, did you think did the Knicks achieve or overachieve in, you think, this season for the team they put together this season?
I'm gonna say that after Mr. Bird. I saw this in the middle of the season. Glad it's finally over. Peace to the Tribe family. Mark Jackson would be ideal, but if you know, you know. Yeah, we know. So you guys need a coach who wants to use the whole team. Exactly, man. Exactly. So yes, I think they do, because they fired Tibbs immediately. He said that they already know who to have a coach in mind because they got rid of Tibbs. It might be somebody who's available and stuff like they know. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, they ain't saying nothing now, but and I kind of believe that too. Like I said, because this was it. They could have waited for Tibbs, after the but I know the reason why they did now too, because this is the when the season's over, every team has like an exit meeting, a player exit meeting. So I know they talking to some of the players and getting some feedbacks. I know we all know Brunson was the biggest supporter of Tibbs and probably Cat and some of these other guys, but you got to look at the bench players and see what they say and stuff like that. Behind the scenes, I don't know what nobody said yet. You know what I'm saying? But if you look at some of the interviews, and they kept going back to some things that even like Mikal Bridges said towards the end of the season. Remember when he made that comment about, let some of the guys from the bench play? You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's telling signs in the season. And then Deuce McBride at the end of the playoffs, during the playoffs, then when the Knicks got eliminated, he said, some things were exposed that we've been doing all season long. And that's what Deuce McBride, and they kept playing that thing over and over again. And also, Josh Hart on 3-4 different occasions, different points of the season, kept saying that players had an agenda, and he kept saying that. So I never really got to see what, but something is going on in that locker room. Some players are playing for their own agenda and not doing for the team. And Josh Hart said that on 3 different occasions, and he said it again recently too. So something has been going on all season long. You know what I'm saying? And of course they're not going to air the dirty laundry out. And that's why he keeps saying that. It is like I said, if you say one time, okay. But if you say 3 different occasions, then it's like, okay, what's going on? What is going on? And, the players, they could tell you like exactly at what point in some games that things happen that you see players was playing selfish or they wasn't doing things for the team. You know what I'm saying? We can't pick it up. We just be like, man, he blew that defensive assignment. It's like that. That's why it's like, it's things like that. It's like, he really didn't buy in or he didn't want to do it and stuff like that. But he keeps saying that. I really want to know what Josh Hart mean by it. I wish it could just come out what he was really talking about. And it probably will, since they're going to have a new coach now and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's a lot of things that was going on, man. But as far as like back to your question, as far as like the Knicks overachieve, like I said, at the end of the season, I always thought that, last year, like I said, I wanted to run it back with the other team. You know what I'm saying? And then, right before the season started, like me and NYG did that, the breaking news with Karl Anthony Towns trade. And I was just like, oh man, we traded Randall. Randall's a tough player. And what's his name is like Cat was known as a soft player. And I was just like, man, I don't know. Hartenstein left too. I was like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? It's like, but if they'd have brought back the old team, I was very confident that we could make some real noise because that team was tough. We were just decimated. If we'd have came back with all those guys, Mitchell Robinson, Hartenstein, Randall, OG, the way we had it like that, we was going to do it. DiVincenzo, we was going to do it. You know what I'm saying? But as far as like with this team now, it's just like, yeah, I think this team kind of overachieved a little bit because, like I said, it's new players. It's like you got 2 more new players into the starting lineup. You know what I'm saying, with Cat and Mikal Bridges. You know what I'm saying, and that's why I was saying like these other teams like OKC, Boston, Cleveland, you know, Indy. These guys been having the same core players for the last 3 years, at least 3 or 4 years.
That's my point in that whole thing. Right? We beat teams. We beat teams established that has been established for three maybe 3 to 4 maybe even 5 years together that they was running.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because remember, the first year we beat Cleveland, we wasn't supposed to win that series last year or the year before. With Randall, when we had that old lineup, we were supposed to go down. They already had us out of that.
Yeah, we beat Cleveland in that series, but then we lost to Miami because Mitchell Robinson got hurt. Because Mitchell Robinson was a beast in that Cleveland series, and he got hurt against Miami, so he wasn't playing. He wasn't really healthy in that series, and he ended up beating us in that series and stuff like that. But yeah, man. He said Cat will probably be traded. I mean, there's a lot of things happen with these second apron and all this stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? With this new thing, we'll see what happens because, at some point, one of these guys going to have to go. Mikal Bridges is coming up on an extension. It's like you can't keep all these guys. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Towns is already getting like what about
51 or 57 or something?
$1 million. You know what I'm saying? OG's getting $40 million. You know what I'm saying? $40 million, and Brunson is getting like 39. Brunson could have got more money, but he took a little bit less money. And then you got Bridges extension coming up and stuff like that. Yeah, it's like you're gonna have to get rid of these guys from some of these guys or one of these guys or something like that. And that's the thing with the second apron, because this stuff just started because, like I said, these other teams got to play with their guys for like 4 or 5 years. The Knicks ain't gonna get that opportunity really. You might get 2-3 years of most out of it or something like that. And it's like you're gonna have to get rid of one of these guys. You're not gonna have a team where you're gonna have like 4 guys making like $40 million or something like that. It's not gonna happen because of this new collective bargaining agreement, the second apron type thing, man. So we'll have to see, man. He said, I believe the players wanted Tibbs gone while some of the team was divided. Yeah, some of the teams was divided on that. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I mean, the starters was not. It's the bench players who was the, you know what I'm saying? The bench players want to play. So they wasn't getting that PT. So it's like, yo, get rid of this dude, man. You know what I'm saying? And then, some of the starters.
Yeah, but just keep in mind, say 2 out of or 3 out of the 2 starters wanted him to stay, and then the rest of the bench guys didn't. Yeah, it's going to be undivided in that manner. That's why I think it was made. I mean, because if you think Cat supported him, Brunson supported him, and maybe OG, and that, I think he's the deciding factor, because I believe Hart and Mikal was against, because they battled him throughout the season. They said things that when you heard what they said, you were like, wow, there is a problem with his coaching. You know what I mean? So they see the problem.
And then another thing is, like, when Brunson was out for those, about 2 or 3 weeks, you see the offense was running different.
Correct.
The offense was, OG was averaging like 20-something points. Mikal was like 20-something points. The ball was moving. It wasn't sticking. You know what I'm saying? It was coming down and moving the ball. You know what I'm saying? And if you look at a lot of games during the season with the Knicks, their assist was like, they had some high assist game, like 30-something assists, 40-something assists when the ball was moving. Yet in the playoffs, we getting like 15 assists, 16, because the ball is not moving. The ball is sticking. You see what I'm saying? And early in the season, we were scoring like 115 points, 120 points. Scoring wasn't no problem for us. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that offense was humming. And I think that's when the Knicks was doing that pick and roll with Karl Anthony Towns and Brunson early on. And then they just went away from it. And then, you know what I'm saying, now it just went to like everything just went kaput towards the end of the season. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I'll say that's one thing. When you look at a team, the box score, and you look at the assist on the baskets that the Knicks made, it was started shrinking towards the end of the season. The offense started getting stagnant again. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like whatever, you know what I'm saying, compared to early on. And that was a big problem.
Teams started to adjust towards the second half. That was the difference. See, this is where coaching comes into play. Once the team started to adjust to us, Tibbs never changed to adjust to what they was defensively they was doing.
Exactly.
But they were doubling Brunson. They was doubling Cat. He never adjusted.
Robinson starting Hart come off the bench. Of course, Hart got to come off the bench. We know Hart's not really a starter. He's supposed to come off the bench, but because of these trades and all this stuff, is like players had to go. He's like depleted, so it was like, yo, they had to start him and something like that. Because man, DiVincenzo would have been great if he was still on the team, man. Oh my God, you know what I'm saying? He'd have been a godsend to stay on in that team, man. You know what I'm saying? He said, "Hit the like button, family." That's right, Mr. Burton. Exactly.
Yeah, because that legitimately gives us 3 defensive guys on the floor plus additional rebounder. Like Hart to me is a good rebounder. He's a good hustle guy, but I don't defensively he could be lackluster. A lot of backdoor cuts on him. You know what I mean? He loses focus trying to help out in a lot of areas of the floor.
Yeah,
but
man.
Devin Cheaty, like his shooting, not scared to take the shot, not scared to go to the basket. All of those played a factor in what we lost, and we couldn't replace that with Hart.
So you guys need a coach like Mark Jackson who get the ball move. Yeah, man. Like I said, Mark Jackson had that offense move. He had that offense moving in Golden State with the Splash Brothers and all stuff. And yeah, they were shooting 3-point shots, but that offense, man, when he was there, man, that offense was like, yo, Golden State was like 130 points a night. I mean, you'd be like, there's 120. Like, you look at their box, you'd be like, golly, these guys, Curry getting 40-some points, Clay getting another 30-something or 40-some points. I mean, them offense was cooking. They were cooking, man. And it's just sad that they just shunned this dude down, man. It's just like they just like collaborated to get him out the league and, you know, not coach again and stuff like that. Nobody wants to hire him and stuff like that. And I would think that it would change with some ownership, like, you know, some teams selling and getting different ownership compared to, like, you know, the owners that were there like 10, 15 years ago or something like this. Because some teams have went through some ownership change. Not too many, but some have went through. And some of these new guys who's coming, I don't think they just like, you know, with the owners and stuff like that, because they, you know, those owners probably was a band of brothers or whatever. They've been, you know, owners for a long time. Whereas some newer team, because Phoenix got what's that? They got I think they got an Indian guy's an owner, something like that.
New owners group, yeah,
they got that. You know, other teams that sold, you know, like Michael Jordan when he sold the the
Charlotte,
the Hornets. So that's a new ownership. So it's other teams that's on the Nets, you know what I'm saying? They sold what's your name? Prokhorov sold it to Ty, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
The Chinese owner and stuff like that. So it's different. But like I said, yeah, we would love to see Mark Jackson come in there and coach and stuff like that. But it remains to be seen who is the Knicks candidate or something like that. Because like I said, they must have somebody in mind, you know what I'm saying? We can all speculate who it could be, who it's not going to be, who, you know what I'm saying? So we'll have to see what it's going to be. But, you know, for the most part, like I said, you know, some fans, you know, right now, some Johnny Bryant, Mike Malone, even though that may not happen. Like I said, who's other names? What's his name?
We just got to keep in mind, we're not opposed of them going Mark Jackson's way. We're looking at it like, we're looking at it like, yo, we need new blood, new light, new somebody that wants to
that got some offensive. We need some offensive but playmaking creativity. We need somebody like that with some creativity.
And then,
players on the team that can do it.
And then to bring in a coach with a coaching staff that wants to help develop the players throughout the season, not just have them just doing their own thing or helping Mitchell Robinson
or going to the G League. Right.
Just doing different things that can help, you know, help propel the team to a different level. That's what the whole point of your coaching staff is, to work with these players in different areas where they can improve.
And you know what I understand is like, yo, the Knicks got one of the best shooters in NBA history on their team, Allen Houston. Allen Houston could work with some of these players. I don't know if they work with these guys or he doesn't work. It's like, yo, this dude can work with these guys, how to shoot and stuff like that, the free throw line, some different things. Like, you have these guys in your back pocket. Why are you not using them?
Correct.
I mean, and the same thing with the Knicks. Sometimes, like, Patrick Ewing is like, he's not even really on a team. He's just, I was like, what is going on? These guys are at the games all the time. Put them on a team, man. I mean, all these guys, it's like you just shunning some of these guys away. It's just like, it's something that's just like, it just is clunky at times and stuff like that. I was thinking it was going to change. It's changing a little bit, but not to the part that, you know, other teams like cherish their legends and stuff like that. And all this stuff is like, yo, the Knicks is just like, yeah, we just going to do what we want to do or something like that. You know, but like I said, man, with Tibbs getting fired right now, like I said, now it's going to be questions like who's going to be the next head coach for the Knicks and stuff like that. But whoever the Knicks next head coach is going to be, he got some players to work with. Yeah, he may have to make a trade or something. Like, we'll see what happens. I know, you know, everybody's talking about Giannis trade, Durant trade, some other trades. It depends. But if the Knicks do trade for one of these guys or something like that, they're going to have to get rid of two players, though, to alleviate that stuff. because the contracts, you want to get rid of 2 players who got a contract, so that way 2 for 1 is better. To get rid of 2 big contracts and just get 1 big contract, which is better. You know what I'm saying? And then you can start filling the team out with other players around. Like I said, but that'll be for the next show or something like that next week. You know what I'm saying? With the offseason moves the Knicks gonna make now. But the big thing today is just with Tom Thibodeau getting fired now. Like I said, it was a move that, like I said, the Knicks fan base, most of it seen coming, and some people didn't, want to see it coming because, like I said, of the things he accomplished, getting to the Eastern Conference Final, which is a big thing that the Knicks haven't done in 26 years and stuff like that. And yeah, that's always a good thing. You know what I'm saying? You get further than what you ever been before, but it's how you get there. Could you have gotten a little bit further if you had been making better decision makings and stuff like that? That's what the question is, because it's like this team show you how talented they are to get to an Eastern Conference Final with, like I said, with minimal bench being used, really no offense being ran, things like that, defensive shortcomings and stuff like that. And it's like, man, if we could just get somebody that could just implement some things and get a better staff on both sides, like a offensive-minded coach, and then he gets a defensive assistant coach and things like that to help these guys and things like that and develops on these guys. You see what I'm saying? It makes a difference. You have the players compared to like if you didn't have some of the players on your team already, you know what I'm saying? But you have the players, and these players are making money. That's part of the reason why you get, why you're out the door. You got a big payroll, and they saying like you're shortcoming. You're shortening the team. You know what I'm saying? You're shortening the team.
Listen, you got to make use of what you have. Like that's just the bottom line. It's not, you shouldn't be into burning out players. We almost burnt out Brunson early in the season by all those injuries. And again, he was forced to use the bench. That's the bottom line of it. The same players the same players you used when you had an injury is the same players you should have used coming off of that. Why keep burning out the same player when you know he could be injury prone or susceptible to a even worse injury because you're burning them out? That's where I felt, again, I'm not trying to be a Tibbs basher. I think Tibbs did wonders for the Knicks while he was here. Again, he has a winning percentage that proves that he was here. He won for us. But the fact is, to get over a hump, to achieve what you need to achieve, you have to change. You have to adapt to change. You have to do different things and trust the process. If that was the case, if he was using more of the bench and we were losing, then I could be like, all right, well, you're doing something different and you're trying to make it work. But listen, we went down and down because you didn't want to change from what it is or add to what was needed to make that process work for you. And the proof is in the pudding. When you put in different players, we changed the difference in some games. And that proved that it was you, not the team.
All right.
So
the only reason why things happen is because of 2 things happen was injuries and foul trouble. That's the only reason that's the only thing that changes his mind and perception is injuries and foul trouble. Because if them dudes don't get in foul trouble, they don't get injured. Oh, they playing. Right. And like I said, you can have a player hobbling and stuff like that. He'll still keep him in the game. I was like, why are you keeping a guy in the game? Take the guy out the game, put somebody else in the game.
He's overlooking.
Put somebody else in the game, bro. I mean, the guy's showing like, yo, just like that. What was that injury that Cat had in the playoff where he hit his knee and we like, oh, Cat got to leave the game and all that stuff. And I thought Cat was coming back in to shoot free throws. He put him right back in the game. I said, bro, what are you doing? This dude just holding his knee and all this type of stuff and is limping off to the sidelines, and you put him right back in because so they looked to see if it was a flagrant foul, and they said it wasn't something. He come back to shoot free throws. Nah, he ain't come back to shoot free throws. He come back because he believed in the game. He said, you have to let Cat go. It's just something about Cat I don't like if you're trying to win a championship. Yeah, Cat, the things. Right, you guys have a decent benches. We've been saying that all season long. We've been saying, yo, there's guys on the bench that can play and help this team. He's just not playing them. Talking about he don't have confidence. Bro, what are you talking about? You don't have confidence in him. You don't have confidence in him because you're not playing them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And don't give me that thing about practice. What you see in practice, I don't want to hear about what you see in practice, man. You know what I'm saying? Play the guys. You know what I'm saying? What do you think these other teams? You think these other teams? They saying like, oh well, he ain't do too good in practice today, so we not gonna play you. I don't know. Like, and these guys playing 10, 11 guys off the bench. I mean, 5, 6, 7 guys off the bench. You know, and these guys are killing us off the bench. Everybody coming in scoring like 8 points, 3 points. By the time you look, they got 40-some points off the bench, 50 points off the bench. And we're just like, what? Coach, what's good? Peace and blessings. What's good, my brother?
What up, Coach?
Trade Cat and go get another veteran big man and some 3-point shot. Job. Yeah, oh, of course, Coach. Yeah. You
sounds reasonable.
Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. That's what I said. That's what we're gonna have to tweak the lineup and stuff like that. You're gonna get some shooters and stuff like that, man. Like I said, but our main thing, we gotta get a primary secondary ball handler, to help Brunson take some pressure off of Brunson.
Well,
somebody that can handle the ball.
We do have that in Coley, so we gotta play Coley.
But that's what I said. But there's only one way to find out you're gonna play this guy. Like I said, the next coach. That's what I say. Well, we ain't gonna have that problem right now because now we have another coach, and that's another thing. Sometimes in free agency, if Tibbs would be here, some guys probably won't want to come in free agency because they'd be like, I'm not even gonna play. Right. And I think that's part of the reason why what's name didn't come to the Knicks. Tyus Jones, he went to Phoenix. He went to be a starter, but he could have came in here to the Knicks if he knows he's gonna get some minutes. Because usually everybody who's a backup, they're gonna get like 20-something minutes, 25 minutes. The Knicks wasn't giving that. Knicks probably only giving like 10 minutes off that ain't nothing for nobody. And the players signing small contracts, they want to prove a year. They want to get, they want to prove so they could get a bigger contract. If I'm coming here and not given an opportunity, why am I going to come here on a 1-year, $3 million deal like Cameron Payne? And I'm only playing, like I said, I ain't doing good, but I ain't playing. It's like he's not really going to get a bigger contract. You see what I'm saying? Now, if he playing 25 minutes and 30 minutes and he can average like 10 points, 11 points off the bench, 12 points, he's going to get a better contract. That's why you sign a low contract to get an opportunity to showcase yourself. But if you're not given an opportunity, you're not going to take it. And players know that. Players be like, well, the Knicks don't really play the bench too much. Yeah, how much minutes I'm going to get off the bench? You know what I'm saying? So they talk. But now when the Knicks get a different coach, it's going to be different now. Players are like, oh, okay. We're going to get a guy who can play guys off the bench. And also, like I said, just like we talked earlier, like I said, with the 3 rookies, them guys could be playing. Kolek, Dadier, and Hukporti. Everybody like Hukporti when they see him. Everybody like when they see him, but he doesn't hardly play. I know some of it is because he was hurt, but even when he came back, he never really played in the playoffs. He came in one game and that was it.
That was it. Yeah.
You didn't even try the guy. Precious Achiuwa, he was there all the team. You didn't really play Precious Achiuwa in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? That's why guys be like this. I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? At the end of I'm gone. I'm gonna go somewhere where I can get a shot. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, that is crazy. You got access to 3 7-footers. We only played 2 of them.
Right.
You think what I'm saying? Like you said, even we started Mitchell and Cat, we still had another 7-footer that we could bring off the bench. How many teams have access to that?
And Hukporti, like I said, he could play defense, he rebounds, he could block shots, and like I said, and the dude can shoot free throws because he shot a couple of free throws. Yo, what are you doing? Right. You just sitting this guy down, bro. It's just like this, and that's why I keep saying the ownership probably started like, look, you know what? We giving this guy all these players and stuff like that, and he's not really using maximizing these players to the best of our ability. Let's get some other guy in here who can do that. You know what I'm saying? You got this stuff at your disposal. Yeah, we may not have the greatest bench, but you don't know that because you're not playing the guys. And you're just using these excuses that you want to use an excuse after excuse for these guys not playing. Oh, yeah, you did some things. So, and then basically you look at some games where we had back-to-back games on back-to-back nights. These guys, the starters, are playing 40-something minutes apiece every game. Why are they playing 40-something minutes back-to-back games? And then some of them games went into overtime. So you go into overtime, that's 53 minutes.
Correct.
It's like, bro, you wearing the team down. It's like, or some nights on a back-to-back, we might be getting blown the hell out. And he still got the starters in the game late in the 4th quarter. We getting blown the hell out. Take the starters out, pull the starters. No, he won't do that. He bring them in like 3-4 minutes left to go in the game. I mean, come on, bro.
I pointed out to you when Sims went to Milwaukee. Look at the difference of him catching alley-oops and all of that. Like, where was that for us? Where was the double team? If Brunson's getting double teamed, like, dude, you got to throw that ball up for Mitchell or somebody to go get that ball. Like,
those
you're
are easy
pounding the
points
ball into nowhere.
But those are easy assist points that you can get, and it's right there for you. You had Jericho Sims who could leap out the gym.
Yeah,
the dude's right there ready for an alley-oop pass. Never got it because when Brunson comes down the lane, he's looking to score, and he's not. It's like, I'll take a pound. Like, bro, just throw the ball up. You know what I'm saying? Be like Chris Paul, be like Trae Young. You know what I'm saying? They get in there and they throwing them live passes for easy assists. That's why they're averaging like 10, 11 assists a game. Easy passes. That's like 15, 16 points automatically every single night.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? He said,
that's what we need.
This move.
We definitely need to put somebody to come in and broaden that horizon. Yes.
The rope is extremely tight around Leon Rose's neck. If whoever he brings in doesn't reach the finals, he is gone too. Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Maybe.
Like I
Well,
said,
but the biggest thing is like they're taking the risk at what they need to do, whether it's him, whether it's the coaching, whether it's to help the team to the next level. Tibbs, to me, like I said, got the Knicks as far as he's just not. If he's not changing his ways, he's not helping the Knicks. That's just the
no, not
bottom
at
line.
all.
Keeping Tibbs for another year, and they still get to say, for instance, they come up shorter next year again. He's going to be going anyway. He's going to be going
Might as
at that
well.
point as well.
You might as well. You know what I'm saying? Might as
Right,
well, man.
right.
But like I said, for the most part, man, on this firing, like I said, me as a Knicks fan, like I said, I'm not too mad about this move. You know what I'm saying?
No,
It'd
I'm
be
not
different
either.
I'd be different if it was the opposite, where I was like, I felt this coach was great, and
Right.
they gave him a raw deal, but they didn't give him a raw deal. He had 5
No.
years, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, 5 great years, but like I said, he never changed his you know, what they say, what's that thing say? A leopard never changes spots and all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? He might hide it a little bit, but you ain't never, you know what I'm saying? It's always gonna be there, you know what I'm saying? And everything, like I said, the same thing that got him, you know, hired is the same thing that got him fired. The thing that gets him hired is because he changes cultures around, and you know, he changes teams around, which, you know what I'm saying, which is a good thing. But then also you got to stop being stubborn and being selfish and learn to adapt. The whole thing is learning to adapt. Like I said, if you learn to adapt and got some other guys under you, or you know, your coaching staff that could have helped you, you know what I'm saying, that you would have let help you, it would have been great for you. Like I said, you look at the Knicks coaching staff, right? On the Knicks coaching staff, who on the Knicks coaching staff is going to get is going to be in contention for a job? Look at that staff.
Yo, listen.
That
No, I don't
tells
even
you
know why.
automatically
I
already.
don't even
It
know
tells
why
you
you brought
automatically.
that up, because there's nobody. Correct.
It tells you that, but those are some of the things that you have to look at. You look at some other teams and you look at their assistant coach, but he's like, damn, look at that. Look, it's like, oh, so I didn't even know he's on that side. Like Sam Cassell, look at these other guys on there. They might be up for coaching, you know, things. Kenny Atkinson, Johnny Bryant, you know, you look at all these teams coaches that's like, okay, they like, okay, we're gonna interview somebody from the San Antonio Spurs, somebody from this team. They ain't hiring nobody from the Knicks. Nobody from the Knicks getting in interviews because there's no coaching potential on the Knicks right now. Them dudes, there's nobody there, and that tells you, it's like, if there's no coaching potential, then who are these guys? Who are these guys on the bench?
Now Tibbs might get another coaching job as a second fiddle, third fiddle on the team. Yes, but as far as rushing him into another coaching job, I don't think he's going to be on tap. Like Doc Rivers likes Tibbs enough. He might, if he needed another guy, he might bring him in as a second or third fiddle to help with that defense. But I don't know why, because the Knicks didn't play extremely great defense on anybody. For Tibbs to be talking about he's a defensive guru.
Yeah, that's gonna be Tibbs' thing the whole time with the 7 core players or 8 core players. That's his thing. Oh, he said Rick Brunson. Rick Brunson's not getting no coaching interviews.
Yo, listen, please.
He said Rick Brunson.
Come on,
Rick Brunson.
Listen. You got a good laugh at us, but please, dude.
Rick Brunson gonna be like, you know, he gonna be like Tim Hardaway Sr.
That's
He's just gonna be in the stands. He's gonna be in the stands.
Please, he's good enough to be hard on his son as far as what he needs to do, but as far as anything else, listen, he's a good high five guy. That's it.
Yeah, man. Well, like I said, that tells you everything, man. So, like, so basically, when they talk about the Knicks gonna have to get a new coaching staff, okay. I mean, you're not losing no really big time assistants. You're not losing no big time assistants on the team. Like, you're like, oh man, or usually you have a guy on the bench where you be like, oh, this guy could be the next guy coaching and waiting, like we had with Johnny Bryant, who was there a couple of years ago. You know what I'm saying? But we don't have that no more. So it's just like, I mean, come on, Othello Harrington ain't gonna be on nobody's radar. Mark Weston ain't on nobody's radar. You know what I'm saying? Maurice Cheeks ain't on nobody's radar.
None of that.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo. We got AARP on our staff, man. We got a bunch of AARP guys and stuff like that. I'm like,
nobody's looking at Mo Cheeks for no coaching job, and he's a veteran point guard that, you know, he's had a good play in his time, but he's just coasting out. He's just coaching out. He's not trying to coach no more.
Coach says, seriously, do you believe Malone is one? Yeah, Malone is a coaching. Probably they gonna probably interview. I don't know if they will or not, but he is one of the coaches that teams will interview. Like I said, he just left from basketball and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? This season and stuff like that. So he's still, you know what I'm saying. He has some, and don't get me wrong, he won a lot of games in Denver. You know what I'm saying? They won a championship. They didn't win one last year or something like that. And the other years, you know, sometimes we'll do the injuries and stuff like that. And then Michael Porter Jr. has been underperforming like a mug in the playoffs for him. That's one of the biggest reasons why they haven't taken that leap. With Jokic, Jokic is carrying a lot of baggage out there in Denver. I mean, Murray is good, and sometimes Murray shows up for the playoffs. Sometimes it's like, but he doesn't show up enough. You know what I'm saying? Where Jokic is there like 100%. If Jokic had that other player behind him like 100%, like with how Jokic is, yeah, Denver could have won like back-to-back championships or something like that. And also, if Porter Jr. would have stepped up, but Porter Jr. never really. He's just one of those two inconsistent players, and all he do is shoot threes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he posts up very rarely and stuff like that, and he's 6'10". I mean, the dude has a long size, length, and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? He should be able to be a great rebounder, offensive rebounder, things like that. And I don't even think he don't put on weight. I think he just got the same weight. He just really don't put on weight.
Yo, also keep in mind, look at the attributes. Look at what the team, what the Knicks have. It should be coaches trying to line up to get that job. It's not one of those things that the Knicks don't have a decent team.
Oh yeah, I think
anybody wouldn't want to come coach because they have what they have. You know what I mean? Like, stop. We're assessing that. Oh, Mike Malone. Why wouldn't Mike Malone want to coach the Knicks? I mean, they have pieces. It's not like he's starting from the ground zero trying to build the team up. It's basically there.
Yeah, and I think the one buffer that the Knicks have now is Leon Rose, because if it wasn't Leon Rose, if it was some janky GM that then it'd be no, because they'd be like, you know, because everybody talking about James Dolan still reigns supreme over there, but I think Leon Rose is the buffer now, so it's like, okay, we could probably work with a GM that can get me the players that I want, you know what I'm saying, compared to a GM who just like, you just gonna do what I tell you to do. But I think Leon Rose worked good with the coaches, and you know, say if there's a certain place that he can get them or they want or something like that, that's fine. I think he'll do that. And like I said, Leon has done an admirable job in these 5 years.
Bro, to be honest, I don't know if Rose really wanted to fire Tibbs. I think he got his hand forced in that area. But the fact of it is that if we could get somebody in there to work with the team that they want to establish and play the players they want to play, then yes, then we don't run into the same situation. Maybe we run into a better situation. That's where the toss-up comes in. Again, I mean, I don't think Tibbs had a bad team. I don't think even the guys we saying on the bench, like, dude, you just didn't play the mugs. Like, I understand the mixture of you put this guy with this guy, maybe they don't play well. Yeah, but that's the whole point of your coaching the team, to see what matchups or what players play good together, and you're supposed to do that in practice.
And
so that's what I said. Like, yo, listen, I again, I'm not a Tibbs hater. I love what Tibbs has done for the team. I just think that it's time to reach another level or reach another stage in what the Knicks need, and they have to make this move. This is a move definitely needed.
And yeah, as far as Malone, like I say, Malone is one of the coaches, but I don't know if he's the Knicks #1 on their list or something like that. And I mean, Malone is a New Yorker. He was on the Knicks staff before too. He's from Queens and all that stuff, so he is from the area. So you know, he's a local boy and stuff
even
like
better.
That. So you know, but yeah, as far as that, I think all things are on the table. I don't think Malone will be like the #1 candidate or something like that. You know, like I said, you got Johnny Bryan, you got some other guys, or it's somebody that Knicks already know that we don't know. You know what I'm saying? They might have somebody already in mind that we don't know. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, it's only speculations right now because he's like the last, you know, him, Taylor Jenkins, like the last coaches that got let go and stuff like that. And, you know, when their teams was like in the playoff hunt and stuff like that. So, you know, and I know somebody like Frank Vogel is not, you know what I'm saying? What's the other dude? Terry Stott. You know what I'm saying? Them old retreads and stuff like that.
Come on. I told you Jeff Van Gundy.
Jeff Van Gundy.
Shit, come on. Listen, we could go down the whole. Listen, again, the Knicks
and the one difference is Jeff
that can bring in anybody, or anybody will be interested in that job because of what they have already. So it could be an onslaught of people going out for that job.
Yeah, man. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen within the next week or couple of weeks, because I think the Knicks really going to ramp up this coaching thing within the next week or 2 weeks before this draft and before free agency. So they want to get these guys in there to get the staff together and start
Correct.
assembling this team. You know what I'm saying? Which is a smart thing to do. Start doing it now before the draft and free agency. Get the new guy in there, see what he wants to do, what lineups he's going to go with, a tweaked and stuff like that. Bench players and stuff like that he can help, bring in to help the team. Or if they got to make a trade to, to dump a salary or do something, you know what I'm saying, which is a good thing. And like I said, man, at least this time, the next coach you're going to have, we won't be, hopefully we won't be talking about him not playing the bench. You know what I'm saying? I don't want a coach like that. I want to see a guy that's like, he playing this play, he play. Or what is it? The second unit come in. Like I said, if the first unit is slow, you can have that second unit that comes in as fast. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
I would love something like that. You know what I'm saying? Two different units to give you two different, So, hey, at least I ain't got to worry about 7 players playing no more, 7 to 8 players, you know what I'm saying?
Not unless we bring in Mike Malone, and that was Mike Malone's biggest problem. He didn't want to play the young players, then we're not looking at Dottier or Kolick or Portier playing, because it's like, they're young players. But I would hope he would come in with a whole different idea or game plan for what he has, or utilize what he has to win games. I would hope. So that's what I said. Listen, anybody coming in, we don't have to worry about the cardiac Knicks all over again. Like, that whole theme and theory will be out the window at that point. Like, listen, let's go in to the season with a whole refreshed idea of what it is this coach is trying to do.
Yeah, man. So like I said, that's the one big thing, man. But like, we ain't got to worry about that, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, cause me doing the podcast, that's being frustrated. It's like, play some other players, bring this other person and bypass this person. Why you keep playing this guy? You know what I'm saying? Well, man, I want to thank everybody for tapping in, man. If this is your first time to the Man-Cave podcast, man, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, man, and share this on all social media platforms, man, as well as go subscribe to the Aboriginal Sports Network, man. The link is right there in the chat, man, our one centralized location for all of our content. And make sure you go subscribe to all the great content creators, myself, the Man-Cave podcast, as well as Coach Ed right there in the chat, Coach Ed Gladney's Amazing World of Sports, Unpopular Opinion Sports, or NYG. Also, Big Pat Sports Talk, Leaf Diggy, Mets 2128, TP Way the Giant, Rob R0B, Ghost Dog, Delay of Game, man, and Mets 2128, who was in here earlier, man. Make sure you go and subscribe, man. All these great content creators on the Aboriginal Sports Network, man. We bring you all these live streams of games as well as content, man. Go check out the Aboriginal Sports Network to see all the Giants OTAs and stuff going on, as well as go check out Mets 2128 with baseball, racing, as well as WWE wrestling. So make sure you go, and Mets 2128 is on right now. So make sure you go over there and support them and hit that like and subscribe button. But man, Tom Thibodeau is gone as Knicks coach, like I said. And listen, don't get me wrong. I mean, as a Knicks fan, it's like this is not Knicks fans are celebrating because he's like, you know what I'm saying, a downfall of a coach being fired. It's like, it's nothing like that. It's like, we have much respect for Tom Thibodeau and stuff like that. It's like, what he did for the Knicks was great, man. Like I said, nobody is like celebrating and happy that he's out of our head. It's just like, we just need a new voice and things like that. We wish Tom Thibodeau nothing but the best, like just like how, these players wish him nothing but the best and stuff like that, man. It was just time. It was just time to, for a new fresh voice to be in, man. So it ain't like nobody's happy about it. He's fired or something. Like, nobody wants to be happy somebody gets fired. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't. But if he was a totally bad coach and a terrible coach, then I'd be so happy. But I'm not really happy. It's just something that had to be done. It was just breaking news and stuff like that. And like I said, with this firing, Tom Thibodeau still has a extension coming up, 2 year, $30 million on his contract. So he is owed the $30 million. So he'll be going. He'll have some money. He'll have $30 million. You know what I'm saying? Sitting on the sidelines with him and stuff like that. So it ain't like, he's kicked out the door. His contract is over, you know what I'm saying? Because his contract extension just kicked in this season coming up. So, he got $30 million to go. So, hey, it's a win-win for both guys, you know what I'm saying? Tom Thibodeau leaves his coach, with $30 million and stuff like that. Knicks look for their next head coach to try to see if they could continue this playoff run into the postseason and stuff like that. Like I said, last year we got to a game before the Eastern Conference Finals. This year we got the Eastern Conference Finals, and with some tweaking, hopefully next year we can play for an NBA championship. because that was here on the table and stuff like that. But the Knicks could not do it, man. Pacers eliminated Knicks in 6 games, 4 games to 2. Like I said, Knicks had a lot of miscues in this series, didn't take advantage of some opportunities, but also you have to tip your cap off to the Indiana Pacers, man. Hey, they won the series, man. Like I said, the difference is in college basketball, it's a 1-game elimination where, the best team don't always win because the bad team could, they got the game of their life and that's it. Your season is over after 1 game. Whereas in the playoffs and NBA, man, it's a 7-game series to see, they give you 7 opportunities to show your worth. And the Pacers were the better team in a 7-game series, So you got to tip your cap off. It is not like a 1-game series. It's a 7-game series. So the Knicks had 7 opportunities to show what they can do, and they didn't. And the Pacers did. So the Pacers won the series in 6. So you got to tip your cap off, even though it hurts. They done eliminated us 2 times in a row, but maybe 3rd time is a charm for us next year and stuff like that, But like I said, we will go into next season with a new coach, new coaching staff, and we'll see how these players develop, and what moves the Knicks make in the all season. Next week I'll be back on here again, Knicks at night, talking about that, what's next for the Knicks after the new coaching hire and what's, the players you want to see develop, what's going to happen and stuff like that, So it's all good, man. We now, like I said, it's not a somber day in New York, man. It's all Knicks content creators is all over right now talking about, Tibbs fired as coach. Some people didn't believe he was going to get fired because of what he did, got us to the Eastern Conference Finals, which if you really think about it, like I said, if you didn't even watch sports, you think about it, you'd be like, you know what? I was like, how can you fire a coach after he wins it? But, if you've been here for 5 years and you see some things and see some signs and things that have still been lurking and stuff like that, you can understand why as a Knicks fan. And even people who is not Knicks fans, they can always see that because, the dude has a reputation. So everybody knows that. Neymar, what's good? Do you think the Knicks hired Johnny Bryant? Yeah, we talked about that. And Johnny Bryant would be a coaching candidate, for Knicks and some other teams and stuff like that. I would love Johnny Bryant. You know what I'm saying? So I would keep Rick Brunson. And just because a new coach coming in, he might keep Rick Brunson on staff, with Jalen Brunson.
He might keep some of them, yeah.
He'll keep some. He should keep some players on the staff and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna bring their staff. They're gonna bring their own staff, but I don't mean they're gonna give it. You know what I'm saying? So
everybody, yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, Johnny Bryant is a hot name right now, and I think he's a finalist for the Suns job, I believe. The Suns, so the Phoenix Suns and some other teams. But hey, the Knicks will be right in there right now. Like I said, he was here in New York for a couple of years and stuff like that on Tibbs staff and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens, man. Like I said, but like I said, the Knicks will ramp up that coaching thing within the next week or 2 weeks, man, before this draft and free agency, I believe, so they can get this staff intact and ready, to get these guys going and see, also for the players too, like who's going to be their new coach and what new systems they got to learn and what they got to work on and stuff like that, so hey, like I said, the firing came at a good time. Like I said, if it came like after the free agency and the draft, then I'd be like, oh man. So the new coach will really he's just going to have to work with what he has. He ain't got no choice to do anything, saying, or implement what he wants to do and stuff like that, man. But man, I want to thank everybody for tapping in, man. Neymar, thanks for tapping in. Coach Ed, you already know what it is, man. Also, Unpopular Opinion Sports NYG, Big Pass Sports Talk, man. Thank you guys for tapping in. Was that Dewani, as always, Mr. Burton. Make sure you hit that like button, family. You know what I'm saying? Also, who else was in here? Mosley. Thanks for tapping in. And one more. Yep. So that was about it, man. D, any final words you got to say, man, on this firing and stuff like that, man, and what you hope from, going forward and stuff like that?
Well, like you stated, all praises due to Tibbs and his work that he's put in for the Knicks and stuff like that. Look, this is not one of those things that we want to seem like, oh, well, no, it's not that.
It's celebration and happy, right?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not one of those things where we're happy, but we're happy that the Knicks need to aggressively move forward in a different direction, and Tibbs is done as much as he could, and it's one of those things that hopefully whoever we bring in is looking to improve the team, play the players, and help the team win more games. That's the whole point of it. So, whoever that might be, whoever is, Mike, if it's Budenholzer, is it Johnny Bryant? I mean, whoever. I mean, like I said, Van Gundy has been out there. You know what I mean? So let's see the interest that that the team brings in, and And like I said, just trust the process, and hopefully, we get the best fit for who they bring in that is fitted for the players we have or the players they want to bring in. And listen, let's see what next season brings for us. That's the exciting part of being a guy that follows sports, or just being a part of a team you love, just to see what improvements
Mm-hmm.
or what is there that can improve the team. So listen, this was a great season. I tip my hat to a lot of guys, like I said, that came in on a fly, like Cat. Listen, y'all can say Cat is soft. We could say a lot of things, but Cat played in some games. Did he show up every game? No. But listen, we got to expect there's going to be definitely ups and downs and stuff like that for any player on a team, whether it's Mikel, whether it's OG or Brunson. There's going to be games that in and out of it. It's just up to the other players to step up to see where they can help carry that team as well. And we have enough players that should be the case. So hopefully we get a good coach that can, when one player is down, is propel those other players to step up to help bring us through that game. So that's what I'm interested to see as well. So,
Right, man.
that's all I have to say.
And also, man, your team is stronger when you have more depth. You know what I'm saying? When you use more players and then just a certain amount of players and stuff, just like 2 or 3 players, your team is more stronger. Like I said, when you have like using 10, 11 guys or something like that, where, you're getting points from everywhere, you don't know where to attack and stuff like that, instead of just being, very limited off the bench and stuff like that. What does Neymar say? I'm hearing Suns might finalize Jordan Ott. That rumor is out there. That's the assistant coach from the Cleveland Cavaliers, also Jordan Ott. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, we'll see what happens. He said that's the rumors that's out there and stuff like that. Yeah, man, a lot of moving parts and stuff like that, man. But like I said, man, as far as me, man, like I said, hey, we just gonna have to wait and see what happens, man, with the Knicks. Like I said, this is the first step in the domino to fall, like I said, and I'm pretty sure it's probably gonna be a little bit more moves coming and stuff like that, because the status quo, you want to run a team back, is like, or you might not run some of the, some of it back. You can't change everything, you know what I'm saying? But the thing about it, you just make a little tweaks here and there that could help the team and stuff like that. Because some of it, that's all it needs, just some tweaking sometimes and all, you know what I'm saying? And like, guys in and out of the starting rotation, you know what I'm saying? You can insert like hard out and put somebody else in there, and then you might have a shooter in there and stuff like that. And it might be a totally different offense, and the ball is moving, so they look totally different. You know what I'm saying? Because as long as you're scoring to put pressure on the defense, and then you got guys coming off the bench and stuff like that, tiring them other guys out too on the other team and stuff like that, or, you know what I'm saying? It makes for a good, man. But like I said, man, I want to thank everybody for tapping in, man, on this Man-Cave podcast. Escott, your host right here with D, talking Tom Thibodeau getting fired, the breaking news and stuff like that, man. Like I said, less than 72 hours after the Knicks get eliminated from the Eastern Conference Finals, the Knicks make another move, firing their head coach, Tom Thibodeau, and now we'll be looking to hire a new coach. But like I said, Knicks still owe Tom Thibodeau $30 million or something like that. So all is not lost. Tom Thibodeau will still have $30 million going out the door with him and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So we'll get our next coach and see what's going. But like I said, the NBA Finals will start on Thursday. That'll be OKC and Indy. Should be a great series. Both teams play a lot of players, so it could be a track meet, man. Yeah, we sorry the Knicks didn't make it. We didn't make it. We thought we could have been in there, man, because we was the favorites in the series against the Pacers, but that didn't happen. But like I said, it's all good. We'll have to tweak what we got to do in the offseason, come back, work harder. And also, like I said, come back with a new system, a new scheme and stuff like that, and just see what happens, man. I want to thank everybody for tapping to the Man-Cave podcast. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on your way out the door. Man, it costs you nothing. It's totally free, as well as go subscribe to the Aboriginal Sports Network. Like, so I'll be back here on Monday doing Knicks at night, you know what I'm saying, talking Knicks and stuff like that. Deep probably on too and stuff like that. So make sure you tap back in Monday night, man, at 7 o'clock or 7:30 p.m. Till then, man, thank you guys for tapping in. Peace.
Who's got the rocket launcher? I say we blow it up. Now fire that thing.
This for the city of sports, playing with a giant Nick. With my man S. God.
That's him.
You feel the vibe?
That's me.
We going live.
That's us.
That like button shared, you been subscribed.
Stadium.
That MetLife Big Blue, home of the Braves.
Yeah.
That turnpike, you can see that's where the game's played. NFL one day, then it's the NBA. Madison Square Garden, that's where the Knicks play. This that NY Logan, North don't get broken. Legalized mean this shit smoking. I'm on topic, dropping another episode. The game winner, trade, maybe a field goal. Everybody right now doing the wave. You tune in, the show called TheMan-Cave. I see the chat, they always doing their thing. Big views, 85-inch screen. The game's on, you rush and bleed. Stay calm, you on the road and chill. Do the watch along. The show's on, the host, you know it's S-God. It's no telling, the panel filled with guest stars. You're now rocking with the voice, you know what it is. It's your boy J Boogie. You're now rocking with my man S-God. I support him to the fullest, you heard? My man Mike Blaze. This is Alter Production. What that mean, we about to alter everything that's playing. Tune in. My man S-God G-O-D. Support the show. Subscribe, share it. Most importantly, hit that like button.